along with me on this Monday morning and hope that you had a good weekend. And here at Maranatha Baptist Church had a great day to start as we get the summer going and into the month of June when the vacations are going. Our summer jump, we don't have a summer slump here. We have a summer jump, and always good to see God doing the work inside of our church. And excited about that going forward, trying to reach people for Christ, had people saved down the aisle, someone baptized yesterday. That's always makes a good day and a good way to keep the summer going, that push. Now, this coming Sunday, of course, is Father's Day, and we're looking forward to having a great Father's Day at our church. And may everyone that comes, how about this? Root beer float for everybody that attends the church on this coming Sunday. And I'm anxious about that. I like root beer floats. Remember the old A&W root beer going through the drive-thru with my mom and dad. And we're going to be doing that this coming Sunday and looking forward to seeing what God can do this coming Sunday. So you be in your place. Hey, Maranatha Baptist Church, you come on out and let's have a good time. And then everyone else, you make sure that you're in church. If you happen to be in our area and you don't go to church anywhere, come join us this coming Sunday. We'd love to have you come. Well, hey, let me read to you today from 2 Kings chapter 18. And verse 16, where the scripture says, at that time did Hezekiah cut off the gold from the doors of the temple of the Lord, and from the pillars which Hezekiah, king of Judah, had overlaid, and gave it to the king of Assyria. Now, as good of a king as Hezekiah was, he had two major character flaws that eventually hurt his reign. One of those character flaws was that he thought if he gave the gold from the doors of the temple to the king of Assyria, that the king would leave him alone. That's what he thought. However, right after the king of Assyria received the gold, he sent more messengers to Hezekiah and Judah to demand that they give taxes to him so that he could care for them. Now, to Hezekiah's credit, this was the line that he stopped and said he would no longer move and surrender to the request of the king of Assyria. Hezekiah realized that there was only one king the king of Assyria wanted. Only one thing he wanted. That was he wanted total capitulation or their death. That's what he wanted. Hezekiah's great mistake was that he moved one time. That was his mistake. He thought that if he moved one time, the king of Assyria would negotiate with him and that they could have peace. However, when Hezekiah moved, he signaled to the king of Assyria that he would move again. The fact that he moved showed the king of Assyria, I'm willing to move again. Hezekiah did not learn that the first rule in negotiation is to get the other person to move. Because Hezekiah moved, the king of Assyria never stopped asking for movement because the king of Assyria never planned on moving from the very first time he did what he did. Now, Satan and the world always want the believer to move first, make the first move of compromise. And they always say, why don't you just come over here and then we'll reciprocate and move your way. But they never reciprocate. The only thing the world and Satan will do is ask you to move again once you make that first move. Now, it matters not what you give the world. Listen to me. It is never enough. The world will never be happy with how much the believer moves because the world does not want to ever be where the church is. They will always want you to move more. The best move any believer can make when it comes to compromising to reach the world is to not move at all. That's the best move. I want to give you a couple pieces of advice about this. First, the world wants you to compromise so they can get your children to capitulate to their lifestyle. The world does not want you, they want your children. I want you to listen to that statement. This is why any movement of compromise is opening the door to losing your children. I cannot compromise because I love my wife and I love my daughter. If I compromise at all, I open the door for the world to have greater access to my wife and my daughter. Now, the world is not so much after you as they are after your family. If you recall Pharaoh, his offer to compromise, one of his offers to compromise was he says, now you can go, but let your children stay. He wanted the children. The world always wants the children. So they get the parents to move a little bit, compromise, and the little movement opens the child's heart's door to the world. I could remind you of Abraham moving to Egypt just for a short time. He compromised just a little bit, but he lost Lot. I can remind you of Naomi and Elimelech, they only wanted to sojourn in the land, but they stayed and lost their children. I can remind you of Dinah, who only wanted to go see the good of the land, but lost her character and testimony in the meantime, and lost her purity and wanted to marry an unsaved guy. Remember this. The world always wants more from you than what it's telling you. Compromise, they say, you make the first move and then we'll move. No, it never works. They want you to move. Once you make that move, they're going to demand another one. Second, moving closer to God is the best move to the world's offer to compromise. Now, the closer you draw to God, the further you remove yourself from the world's offer to compromise. The answer to compromise is never to sit at the table of compromise with the world or Satan. That's the best answer. So if I never sit at the table of compromise for them to give me those offers, I'll never have to make the tough choice of whether or not I should move. I've made up my mind, and so should you, that I am going to serve the Lord no matter what and stick with it. Like Joshua said, he said, choose you this day whom you will serve. Oh, my friend, we've got to make a choice every day of our life. That choice is I am not going to move. I'm sticking right by the Lord. I'm not going to make a move. Many a time they try to get you to move. If you make this determination, you'll find yourself you'll never face the world's compromise. At some point, you got to slam the door shut and say, I'm not up for compromise. I've already made my decision where I'm going to stay, what I'm going to stand with, not going to move. And because of that, there is no offer. I've had in my ministry, I've been in the ministry now for over 3 decades. And can I tell you, in my ministry, I've had many offers of compromise. And every time an offer of compromise comes, it's always, well, but Brother Dominic, we can reach a lot of souls this way. I'm telling you, I've always made the right move. To this point, by the grace of God, I've made the right move. I've always understood, because I've always been taught, you make one move, just one. It doesn't matter how big it is, just a little move. That's all Satan's looking for. If you just move a little bit, he's going to get you some more. But more than that, you've opened the door. Because for you to stand and say, don't compromise and don't move, your children are watching you. And then for you to move a little bit, then your children say, oh, so I guess moving is really not bad. And you've just opened the door to your children. And your grandchildren will likely they will never serve God if they even know God. Many a person has moved, lost just a little bit. It's when a mom and dad stop going to church. One time you preach, oh, let's not miss church. Then you start missing church, and you always have a good excuse. But can I tell you, your good excuse, you're going to lose your children and your grandchildren. Why in the world don't you fight for it instead of just capitulating? Some of you men need to grow up and be men in your home and just say, hey, it's time, honey. We're going to church. This thing is moving. We got to get back. Let's get back. Now, if you have moved, just get back. We can't change that we moved. Abraham couldn't change. Now, you could sit there in sorrow and say, oh, we're going to lose someone. He didn't know that. Now, he did. He lost Lot. But can I tell you, at least he came back to where he's supposed to be. And what you've got to do in times of compromise is say, okay, I've moved. If you have moved, get back to where you're supposed to be. You may have lost some people. Let's not lose any more. But from this point forward, never move. And if that offer comes and you've yet to move, let me tell you something. Stay strong. Be like that tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth fruit in its season. Don't you move. You stay steady, don't move, and stay strong. And my friend, and that world will never see you move. Make that capitulation that they're trying to get you to do, and you'll end up finding yourself, you know what? I've made great decisions, standing still where the Lord wants me to stand. Well, I hope this is a help to you today. Now, let's remember today, all week long, let's go find someone to see them saved. Then let's remember today, be good to everyone. Everyone's having a tough time.